Hello.
Oh, it's singingly, is it?
It's the ringing, singing, blingingly.
Now, I can't remember, do I put my hands over my headphones when you're talking or when I'm talking?
When I... when I'm talking.
Okay.
I come out of your shitty grados, remember?
Yeah. Good. I've just been stretching my elbows. You should clap. This is a podcast in which two friends talk about the pleasures, absurdities, and imperfections of being human. I'm Simon Ellis.
And I'm Lee Miller. Welcome to Midlifing. Of course, you don't need to take your headphones off for that. You can just let it bleed out. Hey, kiddo, how are you?
Oh man, I've had a long day, a good day, but a very long day.
Oh, what's been so long and so good?
Well, it's very exciting because I've been working with my friends Igor and Moreno, and we've been building this quite large oven outside.
What will be baked in the oven, I wonder? I wonder.
Yeah, I haven't thought about that yet.
You're such a fibber.
I know. I think probably some bread, probably a little bit of pizza, and that's it.
I love this. I love it.
The thing is, what's interesting is that, well, actually probably lots of things will be cooked in it. Lots of things. Like,
will it become the kind of place where like folk from the community go, oh, this is a very big lasagna, it's too big for my oven, we'll put it in here.
Exactly, and or if someone's got over the course of a few days, then you can, by the time it starts to cool down, then you can dry herbs in it, and
yeah.
But this is only a test oven, so lots of things to learn.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you think you'll like cook whole goat and things? Like, will it be that kind of like do feasting?
Yes.
Whoa! How exciting! This is so exciting. I love an oven idea.
Yes, because we've been interested in the idea of the hearth.
Yes, such a good word.
Isn't it a beautiful word? Actually, there is no Italian equivalent, weirdly.
There is kind of a Portuguese equivalent.
What is it?
I'm probably going to butcher how it's pronounced, but it's kind of like the singular will be fogo and the plural will be fogões. And it's the same word that you would use for an oven. So we had or maybe it's fogão. Maybe it's fogão. Anyway, we had one delivered the other day, as you know. And so we ordered a fogão. Apologies, Portuguese listeners. And it's also the same word to describe home. It's like home and half. Yeah, I love it. I love that relationship between heat, source, and sharing, and making things, and coming together. And it's just lovely. What a lovely thing to be doing.
Yeah, it is. So we've really been. Just sort of thinking. I mean, this is just a test oven, effectively, but it's got some serious insulation underneath it, and then we're just going to build a clay oven, basically like a mud brick oven. And we were doing some mud brick tests today, which was fun, just digging clay out of the ground. There was a big lump of stuff, and it was, I don't know, very basic stuff, but just fantastic. And so yeah, we'll make that, but then we're sort of designing the kind of space around the oven as well. So to sort of think about it in terms of the hearth, of course, we call a hearth loaf as a hearth loaf is when it's not supported. So like a free piece, like a loaf of bread which you put into the oven without having any support. It's not in a tin or anything. They call it a hearth.
Yeah, loaf. I know the kind.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So yeah, it's pretty exciting, but it did make me think. did make me. I've thought a lot about these last few weeks, but also just how. I mean, maybe this is. I couldn't think of anything more obvious in a way, but wow, how beautiful friendship is! Wow, wow. I mean, so special.
You're good at it.
Sometimes.
Well, in the sense that you have a goodly number, and you have a longitudinal relationship with them. You've had people in your life for a long time.
Yeah, as we've talked about. Yeah, but I don't know. I guess I was thinking maybe it's more than that. Maybe today I was just thinking, I just want to express gratitude for all the different kinds of friends in my life and the way they are in my life, and yeah, I feel very moved by it. I think partly because I'm so knackered, and also we've just Igor came around today. We had a swim. We actually had our first swim today. It was so nice, and in the Mediterranean. And then he came around, and then we were. Lil had designed a kind of thing for the balcony, which is for climbing plants to climb on. It's very beautifully done, and so Igor and I were installing that. And then we had to fix something else inside the place, and then it got kind of crazy because things kept going wrong. And so Igor and Moreno were here until not so long ago, and just really they were stretching, they were extending the amount you can give as a friend, as friends. Their generosity is. Yes, I had started to have that feeling of, you need to go. I don't care that this is not. You need to go. You've done way too much. That kind of thing.
Yeah.
And they weren't giving that vibe at all.
It's a tricky one. I was going to say that's a tricky one, isn't it? Because if somebody is giving and they are enjoying it, you kind of sometimes have to just. And I say this as somebody who is not only predisposed to not being able to take support or help very well. I am married to somebody who is pathologically incapable of looking for help.
I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
What do you like at people asking you for help?
I don't mind it at all. I quite like helping people, as it happens.
And what about if you needed help? And I don't mean the kind, because if I use this apartment as an example, I mean, it's basically got Igor and Moreno's hands over it everywhere. And I mean that in the best sense of the word, in terms of things that have been installed and, because they've got, I mean, both of them, but Igor, they've both got really good practical skills. So they've, stuff that, I mean, partly because it was more than a two-person job, but also just because they've just got those skills. And so we've I mean, it's to say leaned on is just not. It's we've basically crushed them, and I think I've definitely been aware of how much I've been asking of them, but also recognize that it's also gone both ways. But I also don't want it to become transactional, So I guess my question is, what if you really needed help more than practical help? Like if you were in trouble or I don't know, something happened which you just went in, Bob wasn't around for. Yeah,
I don't know how to answer that question.
You mean you don't know whether you would do it, or you just don't?
I'm trying to think of a moment where I've asked for help.
And the same at work?
I can't. I'm not. I'm getting better at it at work. I don't think I'm great at it. And I do have a habit of saying no, I can do that, and I'm bad at it.
Yeah, it seems like a
pathological problem that I should go and talk to somebody about.
I really wasn't going to suggest that. I was thinking much more about it in the abstract, not about you and I, you and me. But it's such an important skill. Like, it's such an important ability, isn't it? Because basically you're also saying, I recognize my own limitations here,
Yeah.
for which I
I
need.
yeah. Yeah. I'd be curious if there's anybody who knows me well, who's listening, who can then turn, sort of say, no, Lee, here are all the times you've asked for help. And I would really love to know that, because I think, yeah, and it's, I'm genuinely struggling to think about it, and I'm also then I wonder if also there's something here about the fact that you have like this acreage of friends, and maybe it's because you make yourself available to them through this sense that they can help and support and nurture you, and maybe I don't do that.
I don't. I mean,
Maybe.
well, yeah, I don't. I mean, yeah, I think certainly there's something. I don't know about the number of friends. I'm not, but I think maybe I have a certain amount of comfort. I think I'm comfortable asking people for, I guess, more pragmatic help, right? But I think it gets trickier. It would get trickier if I were, needing emotional support, although even then, I don't know. I guess there's a thing here that's sort of in the back of my mind. There's something about the gendered aspect of this, in the way of, it's the way of the capacity for men to, like I say, recognize their own limits and to go, I need help here, and just how important that is. I guess that's why I'm sort of trying to, hypothetically talk about a situation which is grave, a deadly serious kind of situation, as opposed to, the kinds of things I'm doing around here, which is to drill some holes into some marble.
Yeah. Which marble? Gosh.
So, man, it's quite tough stuff.
I know, you've got to like pour water and everything. Okay.
We didn't do that. Maybe that was the problem.
I can think of an example which is the polar opposite of what you're asking.
Excellent work, Professor Miller.
It is a moment where I refused help.
Right, so someone offered it to you.
Yeah, and so, and I think it probably is. I'm pausing here because it's rare that I worry about the light in which I am cast when we have conversations. This
moment. Wow.
This is a moment where I kind of go, oh, okay. So what happened was, everybody knows Bob has had trigger warning. I'm going to talk about infertility. Everybody knows that Bob has lost multiple pregnancies.
Well, not first time listeners, but yes.
So, yeah, sorry for first time listeners, but I did just say.
Was the first time listeners going, who the fuck's Bob? Like, who's this Bob? And so she's called Bob. Wait. What? That's not a name for a. That's not a name for a girl.
Exactly. Long time listeners will know that Bob has lost multiple pregnancies. And very early on in our conversations, we talked about something between us, connected to that. See something like episode 2 or 3. At around about the same time, so this would have been the first pregnancy that was lost, when it was like, this is going to, again, not covering myself in pride here, when it was a really bad one, in the sense that it really hurt because it was the first one, and whereas when you get further down the line, it's like, oh, I'm used to this and I know how it works.
Oh man, no, I mean, I don't know. It sounds worse, but our extraordinary capacity to adapt to the most unbelievable things.
Yeah, and it was, but by, when you're getting. When you get into the 6th, you do find yourself just kind of going like, okay. Fuck. Okay. it's a different type of grief.
It's like it's almost as if I'm not just imagining that it's something about that the part of the coping is not staring straight at it, like the kind of just that sort
Yeah,
of
that's a really good way of thinking about it. It's just a glance. Yeah.
yeah, but the
You,
accumulation of because so all the glance becomes as a way of, oh yeah, that's that feeling.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah. But right back when we lost the first one, this was when we were both doing a lot of yoga, and we were in a community of yoga practitioners, and it's one of those things where we weren't talking about it particularly openly, mostly because everybody around us seemed to be pregnant or had kids, and there was a deep sense of shame of not being able to do this thing that everybody else was doing, like, beautifully and easily. And so this guy who I practiced yoga with, who I guess, if I'm just honest, I will say I didn't like. There was a braggadocio to him. There was a kind of sense of maleness that pumped off him that was just like, ugh, it wasn't my speed, just not my cup of tea.
Clear.
And anyway, one morning after we'd practiced, he said, "Oh, can I come round to yours for a coffee?" And I said, "Yeah," because it would be weird to say no, wouldn't it? You know, that would just be an odd thing to say. It's like,
did you say yeah, or do you go yes?
I probably said yeah, in the sense that I don't. Yeah. I did say I don't necessarily come out of this story particularly well. And there was like a really awkward half an hour where we were just sort of talking about nothing.
When he came round, you mean? When he came round?
When he came round, yeah.
Right.
And this is somebody with whom I had nothing in common. After about half an hour of really awkward conversation, he sort of just went, I just want to say, you know, I'm here for you because of what you and Bob are going through. And I just was kind of like, I said, oh, I haven't invited that, and I don't need it, and I don't want it.
You said that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that is one of those beautiful sliding door moments that you have in your life, where, you know, he could have become the important person in my life. Well, not unlikely. It's Jeff to get past.
You
But
could have ended up podcasting with him.
Yeah, but it was just, looking back, I think that was a moment where I have no doubt it was offered with honesty and grace and kindness.
It was genuine.
And I could not see any of that. I could only think, what the fuck do you want from me? What do you get out of this? What's this about? You just want to, you want to know what's going on so that you've got a story to tell? Nah, fuck off. Fuck off. I'm not interested in that because, you know, and yeah, so I think that in a nutshell probably sums up who I am.
Ooh, that's hard on yourself. I think we are, sorry, Uncle Walt, but we contain multitudes. You know, you're not just that.
Yeah, but I don't think it is being hard on myself. I think it's the harder, it's the sharper, it's the more cruel version of the thing that is there all the time. That I think probably I desperately want to be held, but I just don't feel very comfortable in it.
But I think, well, anyway,
I don't know if that's even true. I don't know if that's true.
I mean, yeah, you've just described a version of yourself, which let's say if I really squint, I can see the edges of, right? But it's also not the person I understand you to be. And maybe this is, we're going down a funny street here, but I think there's also, it's really important when you're in a situation like that part of the work of other people is to understand their relationship to that person. Right? So, and so I just think it's very clear. It's very clear to me when this is not my role here is not that. I'm not close enough to this person. And so, but there are always going to be situations, for example, when, it's a kind of like a friend version of unrequited love, where someone thinks they're far closer to you than you think you are to them. And you get a weird moment where, oh, wait, oh, what? Hey, I don't think this is our relationship. And that, to me, that sounds like that happening. Because my question would be, hi, Jeffrey. My question would be, you wouldn't have had the same relationship, the same response to everyone who said, oh, I'd really like to come around. Would you be up for a cup of tea this afternoon? And maybe not coming around, but whatever it was,
No, I think you're right. And I think probably if I, God, this is a great conversation. I think if I'm honest, probably there was somebody who was in my life at that moment who I desperately wanted to be there in that way and wasn't.
Yeah, sorry about that.
And sort of didn't. It wasn't you. It wasn't you.
Yeah. Yeah, those are big things. I think those are big things to go through that each of us in different times goes through when, because those things come to us as human beings, those very, very difficult, tragic, traumatic things that happen to each of us in different moments in our lives. And it's a very curious thing it's easy now with the benefit of hindsight to recognize yourself as being this or that, or maybe you could have done that differently, but in the kind of heat in the mess of those moments. Wow. I mean, it's like I remember a situation sometime with Lil, something happened, and the partner of a friend gave her this hug, and it was just a long hug, and Lil was like saying, I'm just going, no, I don't know. You're not this person to me. But kind of trapped in a hug. Like, what do you do?
Yeah,
I mean, trapped in a hug. Like, could two words not kind of fit together so well?
I know.
It's like you were trapped in this guy's hug, basically.
It was. There was. I think at the time, and when I think back at it, the less generous version of me, which, as I think we've probably heard today, is to the fore quite a lot. The less generous version of me kind of felt like it felt vampiric. It felt like there was sort of something that was being drunk off me.
Yeah. Yeah,
and
that's not a great. That's not a great feeling. That's not a great feeling at all. And like I say, that's if everyone in your life, if you'd started to think that everyone in your life was vampiric in that moment, then something's weird's going on in terms of the people you hang out with, or.
I was contacted by a friend earlier on this week, and it was my work anniversary. So I mentioned, I think it was on LinkedIn or something that it says Lee's work anniversary, and I got a text message from a friend who went, "Oh my God, I can't believe it's been 4 years," and they said it's your linen anniversary.
Linen,
which is linen. Apparently, that's what 4 years is. And
did you go buy yourself a nice pair of linen trousers?
I didn't, but I almost think I should have done. And it made me laugh. And I said, "Oh well," but I was because I hadn't clocked where the information had come from. There was no context to the message. It just said "Happy Linen Anniversary," and I said, "No, it's Pearl." And then there was a back and forth going, "What are you on about? You've been at your work for 30 years. I was like, "No, I've been at work for 4 years." And they said, "It's your work anniversary." I was like, "Oh, right, I hadn't clocked it. Thanks very much." "What do you mean you've been married for 30 years? I said, "Well, yeah, in June." They went, "Oh my God, that's amazing." I hadn't realised it was quite that long. And then they said, "Have you got any advice from those 30 years?
Oh.
And the first thing that came to mind that I think I've learned over those 30 years of being with a single person is forgive yourself. And I realise saying that to somebody else via text, fucking hell, I think I might need to listen to that advice about me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Bye.
See ya. See ya.